Rosco, and welcome to EV Marketplace on a Wednesday night at the later time of 7:30 tonight. And thanks, guys, for joining us. Joe's in, Murray's in, Sensei's in already, and thanks, Mrs. Amazing. But hey, if you're joining us through Facebook Live or YouTube Live, thanks for joining in. If you're joining us and catch up later, I'm Rosco, and this is EV Marketplace. And yeah, Wednesday night, it's got to be EV night. So we're coming to you a bit later tonight because we've got the big guns coming out tonight. Later on, we've got Roland from the Zap channel. Yeah, I think Ludacris is taking a week or two off. So Roland's agreed to come on. He's got a special interest in family EVs, 7-seaters, 6-seaters, 5.5-seaters. So we're going to do a special episode tonight. We're going to cover a few for sale on the used market. Have a look at a few new ones as well, because he is a family man. He's got a Model X, believe it or not. We'll get a bit of background about how Roland came into the EV world. And of course, you can see him in the Zap channel on YouTube as well. So it's great to have him on. He'll be joining us a bit later on. But in the meantime, I want to take you back and settle in with a cup of coffee. If you didn't catch it last week, I did a rebuttal after I introduced that article from news.com about the used cars being dumped after they were being leased. So settle in. I'm going to play that for a few minutes and just take this in again, because it was a hell of a ride. Really enjoyed and had a lot of fun doing this one. So take a look at this. This headline popped up on my social feed yesterday. EV time bomb set to smash Oz. Wow, where did all this come from?
Surely we've had enough of all these lies.
We totally disagree with it. Today we're going to go back and find the source of this document. How did this story even come up in the first place? Let's dig a bit deeper. The article behind the headline was this. It was written by Scott Papp, the barefoot investor, who wrote an article on his blog where most of the conclusions of most of these misstatements came from. We don't know how this came about. We don't know what prompted it. Maybe it was something to do with Elon Musk and SpaceX listing last week. Maybe it was something to do with Tesla. Maybe it was something to do with the Albanese government. But he got a bee into this bonnet last week and decided that the cars that qualified as EVs for the FBT exemption, the fringe benefit tax exemption, were a major weight on Australian taxpayers. Somehow we were paying, because supposedly it had cost the taxpayer, the Australian taxpayer, and us way more than it should have. This whole scheme was wildly successful. And he went on to conclude in his article that while you might save $5,000 through this scheme, at the end of the day, the government were duping you with secret terms and conditions that suggested your EV be only worth half what you pay for it at the end of the lease. News picked up on the simple byline and turned it into this headline.
Experts, including the barefoot investor, are predicting that used EV prices are set to implode. But they didn't ask Rosco from AmazingEV.
Barefoot was quoted in the article as saying, all those amazing secret deals are leased and most will be dumped on the market in 3 to 5 years. Barefoot went on to say in the article, predicted bargains for second-hand buyers due to the influx of supply. Rob Lee from car comparison website thebeep.com.au was another expert they consulted with, and he said more sensibly the wave of second-hand stock would combine with other factors driving prices down, such as rapid technological advancements, new Chinese models, and customer concerns over range and battery health. Then behind that article was that fantastic video with the other experts. Scott Papp, we know the article was drawn from, Brendan Green from Pickles, who I know and have also consulted with, and our good friend Jerry Cam from Jerry Sells. Let's take a look at that video and have a closer look at what they said.
Because some of what they said is just completely wrong.
Second-hand EVs are already cheap, but experts are predicting screaming...
Okay, hold up there, Christian. Hold up there. They're not cheap. They've just undergone one of the biggest spikes in car history, in EV history. Thanks to the war and the petrol price spike, EV prices have jumped over 25% in March. Sure, they're normalizing again, but they had an incredible jump. So there's all sorts of factors that come into play here in terms of EV prices.
But experts are predicting screaming bargains.
Experts are predicting screaming bargains.
The only ones screaming are EV owners and EV buyers and anyone involved with the used EV market.
The electric car discount was introduced by the Albanese government in 2022. It exempts some EVs from fringe benefits tax when acquired through a novated lease.
That's right. Anything that doesn't qualify for the luxury car tax that was purchased after July 1, 2022, new or used EV. So it's not and doesn't apply to the luxury car, anything that qualifies as under the luxury car tax as well.
That typically lasts between 3 to 5 years. Put simply, it allows employees to pay for the car and its running costs directly from their pre-tax salary, saving thousands of dollars in income and vehicle taxes each year. The discount has proven wildly popular, with
all true, and it is a fantastic financial mechanism, fantastic policy that the government introduced, the Labor government, to encourage EV ownership. And it has done a wonderful job, as we're about to find out. And as Christian is about to let us know, it has been wound back and it's starting to be wound back because it's been extremely successful.
more than 130,000 EVs acquired under leases with the FBT exemption over the past 3 years. 40% of all EV purchases. It's been so popular, in fact, that
some numbers I've seen suggest it might be even higher, up to 45, 49%. No doubt it has contributed massively with almost, somewhere between 40 and 50% of all new EVs sold in the last year have been under a novated lease. It's when we've seen sales waning last year, under 10% of total new car sales, it's the novated lease structure that it's allowed the market to maintain the strength that it's had. And granted, the percentage of new cars purchased under a novated lease in Australia is around about 10%. So this has been wildly successful, around 40 to 50%. It has been much higher than the normal purchasing arrangements for new cars in Australia.
It's been so popular, in fact, that the government will phase it down from next year after tax revenue losses soared far beyond initial forecasts.
Again, it's always contentious about how this is described. It has been wildly successful. Treasury estimates when this scheme came in suggested the government might miss out on 100 million or so of income of fringe benefit tax from cars that were bought under novated leases or salary sacrifice that were EVs. This has turned out to be well over $1 billion. Given that the rate of novated leases on new cars is only around 10%, it's arguable whether that money would have been received anyway. Clearly, the scheme has been wildly successful at promoting new EV purchasing, but would those people have actually bought those cars had they not qualified for the FBT exemption? And if so, would the government have received that money anyway? So have they not received it? Have they lost it? Would those transactions have even taken place?
Discount has already reshaped Australia's car market, and it might make EVs cheaper than anyone expected.
That is totally debatable and total speculation. Just because the FBT exemption was successful and more EVs than expected were sold, the number of EVs that were sold were less than what they expected. The number of EVs coming onto the market were well less than 10% up until 6 months ago. The fact that we now are going to have cars coming off lease after 2 or 3 years is a normal part of business, a normal part of car ownership. No one expected people to own EVs for longer than any other car. So that's a normal part of the process. If anything, we're looking forward to more used EVs coming onto the market because as we saw in March, with so few for sale and such big demand, it was literally what was for sale got swept up so quickly. The market was so thin that suddenly there was nothing for sale. We can't wait till there's more used EVs on the market.
Barefoot investor Scott Pape warned this week that drivers who took advantage of the discount would end up with a car worth half what you paid for it at the end of the lease. Most cars would be dumped on the market in
dumped?
Dumping them? That is totally ridiculous.
This is just total rubbish. Nothing's being dumped on the market. As we'll find out a bit later on, they come on in a regulated way. If there was 130,000 cars bought under the FBT exemption through novated leases, that's been over almost 3 years now. They're going to be coming back onto the market at around about 3,000, 3,500 to 4,000 per month, up and down. The total number of cars for sale, EVs, pure EVs we're talking here, at the moment is around about 7,000, 7,500 between the various marketplaces, including AmazingEV, our own marketplace. If we add 3.5 more, that's a 50% increase. But as for dumping them,
3 to 5 years, Barefoot argued, with second-hand buyers getting a bargain due to the influx of supply. Not everyone agreed with Mr.
Finally, some sensibility. Not everyone agreed with Mr. Pap, the barefoot. Let's have a look at the voice of reason.
Pape's view, though. Brendan Green from Pickles said second-hand EV prices had actually surged this year as Aussies were driven into the market by higher petrol prices.
The fuel crisis caused EV prices to spike. For instance, we sold the largest amount of EVs we've ever sold in the month of March 26. We saw EV searches on our website increase 160% from what they were the month prior. We saw Model 3s jump in price by $12,000 from what they were making one week into the next. We had 100% clearance rates. So the used EV.
Finally, we have some hard and fast data here, not just some opinions.
Brendan's come in with some hard stats of what's going on actually in the auction markets, particularly over the last 3 months or so, when we had a really high demand. We saw it at AmazingEV. We ran out of stock. There was virtually nothing available. Clearance rates were 100%.
Market has certainly grown significantly through the fuel crisis.
Mr. Green expected used EVs to come onto the market in a staggered fashion, and he didn't foresee
Exactly. They're not going to be dumped.
They went on in a staggered fashion. They'll come off in a staggered fashion.
a mountain of cars coming up for sale all at once. On the flip side, Jerry Cam did used EVs to come onto the market in a staggered fashion, and he didn't foresee a mountain of cars coming up for sale.
No one's foreseeing a mountain of cars. Bear in mind that the used car market in Australia is around about 2,100,000, 2,200,000 cars per year. So far, the used EV market is around about 35,000 cars per year. Less than 1.5%. Do the maths, roughly. Take a look at some data from AutoGrab, who collect all the data on used EVs and used cars right across the market. They've made a business out of it, and you'll find out exactly what I'm talking about. The fact that there's another 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000 cars coming onto the used EV market is exactly the growth that we're looking for to build and grow this market and to provide reasonable, cost-effective, affordable cars on the used market for every EV buyer. Go on, please, Christian.
Once. On the flip side, Jerry Cam, who owns Bayside Brothers.
The voice of reason. Let's see what Jerry's got to say. Now, I haven't met Jerry. I don't know him personally. I find his videos highly entertaining, and I love watching them. I think it should be called Jerry Buys instead of Jerry Sells. I've never seen him sell a car. I've seen him try and buy plenty. Highly entertaining. But as an expert from the second-hand EV market, most dealers have shied away from EVs in the last 12 months. Plenty are coming back and plenty have had good experiences, but many are still staying out of it. Let's see what Jerry's got to say.
Motors in Victoria said he did expect EV prices to drop in the coming years.
I do think Australian market at this stage is still not very convenient for you to charge the EV if you want to do.
So there's a charging problem Australia-wide, is there? Well, we're on track for about 6,000 public charging stations around Australia in the next 12 months. Tesla is still doing the heavy lifting. Anyone who knows anything about charging, particularly cross-country and long cross-country trips, there's plenty of charging stations. There's plenty of charging stations.
Longer distance. Let's say, like me, I like road trip. I often go to Sydney, Adelaide. If I'm having an EV, probably I will a little bit stressed.
I doubt Jerry's going to get stressed driving an EV from Melbourne to Sydney.
The people who trade in or sell their petrol car or diesel car back in March and April, maybe even after a year or two, I think they will sell their EV because at this stage, Australian market is still not very, very suitable for EV.
The Australian market's not suitable for EVs. We've still got a long, long way to go. I agree with them partially that a lot of people might have jumped into an EV in March, April this year. Maybe they overreacted, maybe they weren't ready for it, but maybe that was the catalyst they were looking for, but perhaps they weren't quite ready. Maybe they should have waited a bit longer. Granted, there might be some people who've got some regret later on, but again, I don't think that's going to be widespread. And the new car sales figures have been extraordinary for the last couple of months as well. And used EVs are still growing strongly as well.
He added that all cars depreciate in value,
Yes.
and for some Aussie drivers, EVs were still a great fit. So whether you buy...
Yes, he's conceded that all cars do depreciate and that for many drivers, EVs are a great fit.
So whether you buy through a novated lease or on the second-hand market, EVs have become much more affordable. and the trend looks set to continue.
Finally, in the last 5 seconds, we've got reality. EVs are becoming more affordable and the trend is set to continue. Whether you buy under a novated lease, new or used, or whether you buy a used EV and get a great deal on something that's almost brand new, you are in a winning position. I'm Rosco and we look forward to seeing you next time. Ah, that was great to get that off my chest again. It's almost comical watching that back again. It was a lot of fun to make and just sort of frustrating at the time, but yeah, fascinating about how that sort of thing's still going out. They'd interviewed Brendan Green and they had asked him, I found out later, to come on and comment on that article from Scott Papp, and then they managed to bury his information right at the bottom. So very funny, guys. Thanks for watching that again with me. I had a lot of fun making that last week and getting that out ASAP. Thanks, Sensei, for bringing that to my attention, because it was but on to some more fun news. My favorite place, the inbox, and I've filled this with text messages this week. Don't worry about trying to read them. It's the story, but it follows a chain of another buyer, an used EV buyer I was helping, who rang me. Stanley rang me on Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, and of course I ignored the call. I don't know who rings me, someone chasing money on Sunday at 9 a.m. I rang him back soon after, and he said it was Stanley. He was looking for a BYD Seal, a Dynamic, which is the base model, and couldn't find one. Interesting, because he was looking for a Seal because he was a BYD fan and a Seal fan, but it was for his son, and he was just on P plates, and he was looking to buy one for his son. Good father. But of course, it's another new problem that's come about because a lot of the EVs, particularly the premium and the performance, they don't qualify as P-plated cars. So, but strangely enough, the Dynamic does, and they're not. I don't think they're doing the Dynamic anymore. So there was a few floating around, but the essence of this text was a bit of to and fro, where he said, "Look, can you help me?" And I said, "We haven't got anything at the moment." And of course, more than happy to help anybody who's looking for a used EV or a new EV, but anything that's out there. He gave me a call. He'd looked on the website. He found one, but it was in Perth and too far away to transport. Then he started looking at it. I said, look, I'm happy to put the message out on the BYD Seal Facebook page. And so I put a message up there. Anyone interested? Had a few little rumors back again. Finally, then he came back after a bit of to and fro. He said he found one in South Australia. I said, why don't you take a father and son road trip, fly down and drive it back again? And then he made a mistake and said it was in WA. So that was funny. In the end, he found one within 2 or 3 days, and he found one online himself, and he kept looking himself, but was more than happy to follow that journey through, help someone to find one. Some cars are a little bit more tricky to find than others. Some cars are certainly, well, the market's still pretty dominated by Tesla, that's for sure. Still, lots of other models are trickling on. BYDs are going still pretty quickly, we're finding at the moment. So, and other cars, just haven't quite made it to the used EV market, but had a lot of fun. Anyone that you know who's looking, if they don't want to dive into the jungle of Facebook and join a group and ask and be tossed to the wolves, asking questions about the used EV, we are more than happy to help anyone if they want to give me a call. Contact details below and just have a private chat about what they might be interested in. Following the theme through tonight, bit of breaking news again on the new car side of things, and there's a bit of hybrid action which we're not going into in this space. There's a couple of new cars coming out, and there's plenty. They seem like they're throwing hundreds of hybrids at the market at the moment. We'll stay clear of that. We'll stay with the good news on a brand that we don't see much of in Australia, and that's Skoda. And this one, they have a propensity more recently to finish every name with a Q. You got the Kodiak and haven't been that popular. Maybe pricing, maybe the association with VW here. Haven't done that well, but this one's a genuine 5+, 6-seater that we're focusing on tonight. We'll start to get into the groove and really have a look at these. We're going to have a look at quite a few on the used market that do qualify. And Roland's got a personal interest. He is a Model X owner. He's got a family, and that's important to him. So he's done a bit of research on the new side and said to me the other day, perhaps we could do something together on the used side of things. So we'll be focusing on that a bit later on. But this one in all its colours came up on the market, onto the market about a week ago. Brand new news from Skoda. What does everyone think of that? They just haven't quite cracked the market here. And yeah, I've sat in a couple and been impressed by them, but yeah, still not quite making inroads on the EV market. And I thought that would have been one of the brands that would have done reasonably well, but nothing it seems yet. Yeah, and again, there's plenty of other options out there, but not too many in that reasonably affordable sort of 70 to 80,000. And I guess where we're looking and hoping to see some more action is that Kia Carnival ICE car size. About that's up to 80, 70, $80,000 now, a Carnival. And something along that size, but definitely electric and definitely a 5+6, maybe 6-seater. So we're going to take a closer look. But before we do, and Roland joins us very soon, it is only 79 sleeps until everything electric. And, well, I'm looking forward to it again. It is in September 18th. We'll be hopefully having some discounted options, ticket options coming through, but later on, if I can wangle something with everything electric. But yeah, they're going to start kicking off shortly their promotions and get it ramped up. I know a bit more about it because I was fortunate enough this morning to catch up with Dan Caesar, a very secret mission. I joined him for a coffee in a car and maybe got some content that we can reveal a bit later after it's under embargo at the moment. But he was here for a fleeting visit this week. He came out all the way from the UK to get some cooler weather. Of course, strange for an Englishman to come and relieve an English summer. But he was here to shore up some of the OEMs, and he did have some great news for me I can share. And we're on our way to Polestar this morning. Thanks, Sandy, for joining us. Good to see you. We're on our way to Polestar this morning, and he has confirmed that Polestar will be joining the show again. They are still committed. He's also confirmed that, strangely enough, because the timing wasn't, but you know what happened with the show earlier on. Strangely enough, if they'd gone ahead, that would have been the week they would have had to travel, was the week that all the Dubai airports and Middle East airports closed. And they almost wouldn't have got through. So fortuitously, then came the boom in EVs, then came a stellar period for the last 2 or 3 months in sales, inspired a lot of manufacturers to sell more, and still the models keep coming. So he could tell me that they have got a number of new models being released at the show. They're fully committed. It's going ahead. There's no doubt about it. And we had a great chat discussing English politics and general catch up. And AmazingEV probably won't be exhibiting. We didn't talk about that, but we will be there and we'll be around about. We'll have our face around the show. Looking forward to it. And it was great to catch up with Dan. And he is a genuinely good guy and covering a lot of bases. I love the work they're doing out here. UK is probably, they're at 25% new cars, Mark. So he thinks that, they think it'll probably settle at about 15 here. We're probably 3 or 4 years ahead, but things are a lot more expensive over there, but the used car market's kicking on really nicely. So it was good to have him there. And look, hey, I saw that news about Peugeot and I didn't cover it this morning because I didn't cover it tonight. I don't think they've got a full EV on the market here. They've got a hybrid, but the press release, I'll cover it now just before Roland comes on, because the press release was more in line. It wasn't in line with the headlines from News Corp again that you might have seen. Yes, they're not. They've indicated that Inchcape, who are the importers, are no longer going to be distributing Peugeot. But the news release directly from Peugeot, from Inchcape, suggested that they were going to still have a representation here. So once again, I didn't bring it up because I've already dumped on News Corp tonight once, and I wanted to try and raise the tone a bit more and get it maybe a bit more optimistic. I didn't want to dump on news, but that story and that headline was not quite what the press release said. Peugeot are not going to be represented by Inchcape, who have got Deepal and Subaru and a couple of others. Global distributor. They've got agencies of distribution of cars all over the world. If you have a look at Inchcape, and some insurance interests, and they've been around for years and years. They've been an agent and an agency for a number of the European brands, along with the Teco, Neville Crichton, all that. Anyway, but the press release specifically said more along the lines that although they were no longer representing them, they were going to make sure that they parts and service was going to be represented, and that they were still going to have a representation here. So yeah, it is, well, it's news that they wanted to hear that there is already one casualty of all this competition. But yeah, Peugeot hardly sold many cars in the whole scheme of things at all. There's no doubt about that. So look, great to have, it was fantastic to catch up with Dan this morning. Really good. He is a brilliant guy, and yeah, it was really fantastic. But of course, tonight is brought to you by AmazingEV, our very own used EV marketplace. And well, let's go to the marketplace and kick things off about family used EVs and family EVs, because of course we're going to go straight to the Model X. The first maybe 6 or 7 seater, genuine 6 or 7 seater in the marketplace here. And we've still got a couple here for sale. And look, again, maybe the Model YL is going to be the one. Then you'd say, well, that's going to be the car. And it surprised me with the number of sales. There's no doubt about that. That's really done really well. But take a look at something like this. If you go back and have a look at some real 6 and 7 seaters, 100D for a little bit under 100 grand. That's a hell of a lot of car. And that's got the similar setup, similar style seating setup as the Model YL. Now, again, everyone's jumping over the Model YL, but this was a beautiful car. We went out, Mrs. Amazing went out and I saw this one. Again, maybe these are, I'm still inspired by the Model X and those doors. They're still incredible, but maybe this is a go. And we'll have a chat to Roland shortly about how he lives with the Model X, because he made a choice to buy one as well. And look, if that's too much, again, this one here, this is another 100D, and this one's done 140 odd thousand Ks. Again, the six seater configuration, which is fascinating in itself, because let's see, I'll get a better view of that. There it is there. And again, if you might be forgiven for thinking it looks like a Model YL. Again, we'll go through a few. What are you guys looking at? Not some notables this week. There, some of the new cars, some of the new cheaper ones coming out for sure. Yeah, look, there's some beautiful small cars coming on, and we're going to do a small car expose in the next couple of weeks as well. There's no doubt about that. I'm just checking in with Roland. Let me have a look. Just says waiting for the host. Okay, we'll come back to that. He's not far away now. So, look, it is very, very interesting there, and we're going to cover a few more on the new car side of things. But there's also a new one I wanted to show you tonight as well. I'm just going to go to an ad break, and we shall just get in touch with Roland, because I'm not seeing him here at my end yet, and we'll come back in just a few moments. Due to the wonders of technology, Roland's standing by in the green room. Let's kick the intro. And Roland, good evening and welcome to EV Marketplace on a Wednesday night. How you doing?
Good, thanks, Rosco. How are you? How's everyone? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks. We've got a few and joined us this evening. Looking forward to you being here. So, no ludicrous feed tonight, guys. Apparently, so we've nabbed Roland tonight. So,
I'm all yours.
I've seen you on Ludicrous Feed. We've chatted behind the scenes. I've seen your channel on YouTube, wildly successful. You get some great comments about some of the stuff you do on and detailed reviews on cars. The JQ, but take us back. What was your? Let's just go back a bit for those that don't know you. What was your EV aha moment?
To be honest, it was YouTube videos where you had the what was it? Tesla Model SP85D at the drag races. I think it was against a Mustang and then a couple of supercars. And then I was like, seems like a walk in the park for cars like that. So I love tech. So why not give it a go?
So you're an out and out rev head, right?
I would still say, I know I shouldn't say this, but I still am at heart. I still appreciate them. I really do.
I'm still a Formula One fan. I'm getting on to Formula E, and it's going to be more and more exciting. I still follow the drama and it's a bit like a soap opera, and I've always liked the technology as well side of things rather than the racing. But yeah, there's plenty of closet Formula One fans out there. There's no doubt about it. But what was your first EV? And I know you've got a Model X now, but what was the first one that you bought?
Tesla Model Y.
Yeah,
performance. So that was when we decided it. So actually, no. So if I wind back a couple of years, we did look at the Model 3 performance. We test drove it, and then the boss wanted a higher car a car that sits high off the road. So then in comes the Model Y, and I was like, well, there's the compromise.
Yeah.
So we'll give it a go.
Have you still got that one?
We still have that one, yes.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because the car you see on screen now, we weren't supposed to buy that one. It was one of those that we sold our car and we were looking at getting a second car with it was to replace the Kia Carnival, and we were looking for another one. We couldn't find anything. So then we were going to buy a sports car, petrol sports car, I'll be honest. And then I just randomly looked on car sales and then I saw a car, and then it literally had all the options. Because one thing that Tesla doesn't do well for the previous S and X's is the disclosure of the options list.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to find a spec sheet anyway for what the cars came with. And even talking to them on the phone, there were certain things they couldn't confirm, that after only talking to a bunch of sellers, that you start to kind of work out what the cars come with.
Yeah. And which model is this one? What did you end up getting?
This is the this is a 2020 Model X long range. It's a 100D.
Yeah. Okay. So let's kick it off. We were chatting earlier about trying to find family cars. You've got a family, I don't. So this is your genre. And you've got a Model X. So, yeah, how's it working for you? Let's just kick off with this one because we've got a couple on AmazingEV at the moment. Genuine 6-seaters, the 3 rows, a bit like the Model YL. And I can understand now why YL's so popular. What makes this one a good one for you?
Honestly, it's, as you said, it's the doors. Yeah. I've always wanted it just because of the doors. Like, every time you go, it puts a smile on your face. And the one thing I can tell you that I know people freak about, and when you are on the owner's page you do see, it is a legitimate expensive car to fix for parts, right? That's the honest truth. Like, let's not beat around the bush. That's realistically the truth behind it. But the doors, the wings, like, they just look cool. I just always wanted that. So it was one of those things that the car gets older, so then it begs the question of, if not now, when, right? Yeah. Because the car is going to get older, and if it goes older, it's more higher than likely that you will have to fork out, I guess, repair costs for something. And so, if we were looking for one, we found one with a lot of options, and then it was like, well, if not now, when? So
I was going to say, did you? How much research did you do on the background, the history, the maintenance history of that one? Just again, looking at the used, just jumping straight into the used side of things, right?
So for this one in particular, it was probably once it was very specific. So I actually spoke to quite a few people.
Yeah.
There is I forgot the person's name, but on Twitter or on X, his username or handle used to be Pablo's, and then had like a broke and then
Yeah.
dog emoji. You know, he's got a Model X, and then there was ARM on X, who's got a Model X. There's been a couple of others, and one that I personally know now, Jack, who's actually was the one that kind of pushed me and convinced me over the line to kind of get one, because he's got a Model X as well. And then, funny enough, you see in the picture on the right there, that's another local person in my neck of the woods who also has literally same color Model X, just a different.
Did I crop out? Did I crop out the wrong car? Did I
No,
crop
you
out
cropped out the right one. Yeah, that's my one. Yeah,
yours is behind it, and that's not your car.
Yeah. But shout out to Chris if you're on the line. That's Chris's car. He's a good bloke.
Because it's a pretty small community. Again, you got to be pretty committed, but it's a pretty small community. There was only 3,500, something like that. Is that what was the number?
Yeah, I think it was about three or 3,500. But that was between all the years of sales, and that was for S and X combined.
Yeah,
it wasn't just 3.5 for the X, it was S
Is
and
that
X.
right? Yeah, okay.
So really small numbers.
And look, again, have you got the sort of enjoyment out of it that you expected? That's, I guess, the real, for any buyer. If you're going to love it, you're going to love it. They're not making them anymore. It's pretty rare. So how do you feel?
Look, I'll be honest. Every time when you drive it, it is ridiculously comfortable. Like if you had to go, so park aside the fact that the Model Y is a lot faster.
Yeah.
If you go from a comfort side of things,
Yeah.
and you have to pick one of the two, I would pick the X as the slower car with higher maintenance, purely because it's more comfortable. But if you got to throw speed into the mix, then the X is gone.
Yeah, it's an enthusiast car, and again, the suspension's a lot better, but they're quick too. They're still quick, aren't they? And what sort of range are you getting out of 100D?
100D, it says on the dash when you flip it to kilometers, it's I think about 430, 440, and that's with about a 12% degradation off the top of my head.
That's pretty good. Okay, have you had a battery test on it?
I not the actual test itself from the car, because I don't think the feature came out on these ones because it was an older variant. But I do have the Tessie app that does show that.
Okay, cool.
It's not a test that it runs; it's just in the background every time you charge. Like it just automatically does its magic.
And we're always advocating it. Once again, if you get a battery check, especially on something that's done at least 100,000 Ks, and there's a few exceptions, but most of them are doing far better than we thought. But yeah, by all means. But hey, we've put together a collection of a few cars that fit this category of sort of 5+ seats. And yeah, it sort of became harder and harder because there's not that many out there at the moment on the used market. They're gradually coming through. But with a bit of luck, if we click this one here, we will have the first on there, and we'll dive straight into it because, again, this was one you found. Again, I was surprised that this was a 5 or 6 seater. So very interesting. Where did you find this one?
It's 5+2.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you have a look at, I don't know if this one has rear seat photos.
Yeah,
but
we'll have a look. Yeah.
Legitimately children size.
That's an ad for shoes. Let's see if we can get some photos of no seats.
No seats. You might have to find one.
Just the scratches.
Take my word for it. It is a 5+2 though.
I read down the notes. I was surprised. I didn't realize the EQB was a 5+ seater. So again, have you driven one of these? I haven't driven.
I haven't. No, I haven't driven, but I guess what got me through to this. So actually, just to give everyone some context, I recently did some videos for car EVs that were brand new with more than 5 seats. I did 2 videos, one on SUVs, one on people movers, and then I thought, Rosco, you're probably the best person to talk to if we're going to talk about used market. So this is why we're here. And the reason why this one's come up, not because it's just pure EV. It's the depreciation on this car. It's entered its 4th year. EQBs, off the top of my head, were like $80,000 or $90,000 when they first out. And because it's a Mercedes, you got to obviously tick the options that you want.
Yeah.
So
they would have loaded them up, but I didn't even, I just didn't realize the EQB had those seats. So that's a bonus for a start, because it's not a huge car, but it's got the extra row if you need it. So again, at 50 grand, there's nothing cheaper than that at the moment for a 6-seater, right? This is about the cheapest one we could find.
yeah,
For a genuine 6-seater starting at the bottom, so around about 50 odd grand, and you get a Mercedes for it as well. So there's a starting point at the bottom end for a 6-seater for any family, is the Mercedes. And I have driven an EQA, and they were cute, and you see a few around. But again, this one's only done 43 odd thousand Ks, so again, 23 model, it's hardly done anything at all. It's probably done school runs and something like that. It hasn't done much cross country. So that's the first take on that. That represents bloody good value. I think that's a good one. So matte paints, that's got the matte paint option, which is a Mercedes, cost $3,500. That's the thing. It would have been well over 100 grand. So yeah, that's someone's taken ahead on that one, and that's pretty good going. So service costs, Murray, I don't know. I haven't checked out. There's always ups and downs on this EQ series, because they came out with gusto, and I think you ended up paying Mercedes prices for servicing even on an EV. And some of the tech, I think, as long as it's got Android Auto or CarPlay, I think you'll be okay. But some of the original tech, from what I've seen, but otherwise inside, yeah, pretty modern Mercedes, if you like Mercedes, I think. And I think a lot of Mercedes have gone to Mercedes buyers, I think. What do you think, Ryan?
yeah, I think, look, people that buy a Mercedes, they'll know what the servicing is. They'll know all of that. They just want it because it's a Mercedes.
Yeah.
I've got a work colleague that pretty much always swears by Mercedes, but she's got a BMW now, so.
And that comes back to the competition between Mercedes and BMW. Again, BMW seem to be striking ahead. If you have a look, the X5 and the iX5's just come out today in Europe. So again, Mercedes are striking back in a big way, and they're going to battle it out. This first range from Mercedes probably wasn't as technical, but it still looks like a Mercedes. And again, if you want an EV, 50 grand, I'd say you could get it for 50 grand easily. Private seller in Queensland. Let's move on to the next one. And that was the Kia EV9. And I didn't look at the spec on this, but I quite like these. And these were expensive, right? Have you driven one of these?
Yeah, so I've driven the mid-spec Earth and it was top spec back then, the GT line. I know they've come out with the GT now, which I haven't driven yet. But these were popular, the Air in particular, because even though retail price they were over $100,000, I have heard of quite a few people that have got the price under the FBT, like to Novate that car. So it's specifically this variant.
Okay.
So it is a smaller battery, but in terms of size, that is a full-size SUV.
Yeah.
So full proper 7-seater car.
And this is what we're talking about. This sort of Kia Carnival, bigger than a Kia Carnival, but full 7-seater, right? And again, now we're starting to talk at 73, 74,000. That's not too bad, right? That's starting to, even for a 23 model, that's starting to get in the ballpark. And I dare say you could get that for 70 if you'd bargained hard. But yeah, that's the sort of space that the sweet spot. I reckon the Kia Carnival is one of the biggest selling ICE cars in this spot. And I think this is Kia need to have something right here. What do you think? Yeah.
I think if they could honestly bring an electric Kia Carnival, they would, even for say $20,000 more than the current top spec.
Yeah.
Like just under 100. I am 100% sure they will sell like hotcakes because they've got a hybrid one that's already bordering around $80,000.
Yeah, I know. Just bring it on, Kia. Just bring it on. This is amazing. And I went down south in one of these as well for a weekend away. Yeah, and it is great. Just there's so much room. You can just slide back in the back seat. Those not quite. I'm not sure if we might have had a GT line, like $130,000 worth of Kia
sounds like one.
EV9. It cruises along like a giant boat, but enjoyed it. But yeah, a lot of car and a lot of money. That one again, creating GT GTs out of these big people movers. I don't know if it's the right place to be, but anyway, they don't have as much range as the Air, do they? But it goes Earth, Air, then GT, doesn't it? For the
No, so
Kias,
Air, Earth,
Earth
GT
and
line,
GT.
GT.
Okay,
Yeah,
so this is a base model,
so this is the
74
base
grand.
model.
That's a good deal. I like that one. That's for anyone in Victoria. Model S, yeah, they're just talking online about the Model S being more comfortable suspension. But yeah, I think the S and the X both head and shoulders. You've got the model first gen Model Y, especially performance. It was probably a bit tighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, the X and the S streets ahead of the Model Y. They
Well,
didn't
they've
look.
got air suspension as well, so you
Yeah,
can't argue with like traditional suspension versus air suspension. You've
no.
got just
So
floats.
so your X has got air suspension, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
adjustable. Yeah.
So you're number two, and we're heading up in the price bracket. But that 73,888. That's is that a lucky number? 888.
Triple A, any eights in the Asian world is all lucky. But you know,
Okay.
on that note, before we move on, 2023 for a Kia. So people would say, okay, so this car was probably novated lease, it's exit
Yeah.
lease after 3 years, and this is
Yeah.
probably why it's for sale.
Good
Don't
point.
forget that Kia's got 7 years warranty. It's pretty good. You still have a couple of years.
Yeah.
Whereas Mercedes is most likely it's out, warranty's out.
Yeah. What's the standard warranty on the Kias? 7 years now.
7 years for Kia,
Yeah.
yeah.
And battery and
Yep. It's the lot
it's
from
only
memory.
done. It's only done 20,000 k's. It's
Not
brand
much.
new. I
Yeah,
haven't
not
looked at
much.
price. That's a big unit. I've seen it again. I see a few around. They're a fraction bigger than they need to be. Yeah. Again, if we could get something Kia, if we can get something Carnival size, that still squeezes 7 people in. But yeah, that's brand new. Next on our list, you've driven this one, the Volvo EX90, 2025. Yeah, we're stepping up now, 25 grand. Can you see the value in this or not?
I drove this is the slow one, but it's still fast.
I saw you last year, and was it earlier this year? Last year, wasn't it? And you had one of these, yeah?
Yeah, it was around sometime then.
Yeah,
Look, a very, very plush car. Like
yeah,
as soon as you unlock the car and you go in,
yeah,
it feels like a really nice car. You
yeah,
can tell. Um, the only drawback for that specific model was the cruise control because
yeah,
I think it had LiDAR and it meant that you couldn't control the distance between your car and the
yeah.
car in front when you're on the highway like you can with traditional cruise control.
Mm.
That is literally my biggest gripe there. Other than that, it was very comfortable. It was very quick. Like I didn't really have any issues with it.
Yeah.
It was really good.
You've driven a lot of. I mean, you've driven a lot of cars. Do you notice on? I mean, this is a premium luxury car now, premium price luxury car. Do you notice the difference inside compared to some of the cheaper options, whether it's
You
a Zeekr or
definitely,
anything else?
yeah, you can tell in some of
Yeah,
them. Some of them are really, really obvious.
yeah,
Zika's definitely getting up there. Like it's getting quite hard to tell
yeah,
differences between like a European build and a Zika, as an
yeah,
example. But there is definitely clear differentiations if you're talking about like price brackets of
yeah,
cars. If you're going from, say, your entry level cars, where I think once you hit past that, you know how we've got like the Model Y and the entry spec,
yeah,
like your BYD C Line 7s and 7Xs and all of that around the 65
yeah,
mark. I think when you hit that price point, there's a clear delineation for the
yeah.
quality of the car. And then I would say there's not many cars around the 100,000 mark in particular. It
Mm,
probably starts to stretch way further up. Like this car
yeah.
here that we're looking at, I think brand new off the top of my head would have been about 120 or 130 drive away.
Yeah, wow.
Because
Yeah,
the top spec back then was
yeah.
about 150.
They were up there, weren't they? Like I haven't checked out the new prices on these, but they're well like Polestar,
Yeah.
well into the 120s, 130,000s, right? So
Yes.
so this is that's a good deal. That's hardly done anything. That's virtually
What year
brand new.
model is this one? It says MY25. What's the
Yeah,
year?
virtually brand new. I'll go back to there. Yeah, that's
2025. Oh, there you go. 1 year. 6,000 K. It's
6,000
literally
Ks. Yeah,
it's
someone's
just
made a
past the
mistake.
5,000 mark, so it can't be a demo. So like, it's
Yeah,
almost a new car.
private seller in Queensland. Yeah, unbelievable. It, I don't know about Volvo, Polestar. Yeah, I can see the difference inside. I agree with you. I can see the difference inside, but yeah, the premium on new is way over the top. This is BMW iX3 money, probably. Well, it's going to be probably somewhere size close to the iX5, which is going to be 150 plus for sure. But it is a lot of car, but still more of the sort of station wagon style, not the real people mover, is it?
Yeah, this one's a proper SUV. I guess I would say this is the equivalent of what we just saw on the EV9, but this is obviously
Yeah,
more aligned to the higher spec trim if it was compared to the Kia.
yeah. I see more. I see more sort of. I see more family sort of room in the EV9 than this one. But yeah, it is a big unit. It's a big unit on the road, isn't it? It's probably close to 5 meters. 5 meters long, isn't it? It's
Oh, it's
massive.
definitely over 5 meters. Both of those cars are over 5 meters. Yeah, I'd say just that first Mercedes one that's under
Yeah.
5 meters, but the others are definitely over 5 meters.
Yeah, the new BMW iX5. I think I just noted. I think it's 5 meters is the size of these cars. It's getting right up there.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, a bit more modestly, I did something else that was on your list, and I did manage to find an example of it that was used, and
Oh, you did find one.
found this one today. Again, we're stepping into that sort of people mover again. More carnival. This is more carnival. This is a. Geez, I hope it is an EV. Yeah, it is an EV.
This is an EV, yeah.
LDV. How do you say it? MIFA.
MIFA 9.
MIFA 9.
Yeah.
Have you had a look at one of these?
So I've seen one in person, and honestly speaking, I think this was a car that was ahead of its time. I mean, I haven't driven it, right? So maybe it's a horrible car. I don't know. I can't comment on that.
Yeah.
But on paper, for what it is, and if you blow up the pictures for the interior of the car,
Yeah.
these are the types of cars that are coming now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
obviously, the cars coming now are more luxurious than what you see here.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that because if you think about it, this was a 2023. Nothing
I know
like that
that this
exists.
is 3 years old, and yet,
Yes.
brand awareness on this particular model is almost zero, right? You
Yes.
raised this. I know LDV, of course, but I didn't know this one as a people mover at this price. What do you think this was new?
Oh, I know the price because I looked at it back then. This was
Okay.
$120,000 new.
So
Yeah,
these
I know.
were well over
That's what I mean.
100, yeah. Mm.
This was a $120,000 car, and you look at
Holy
the price
shit!
there is 69,888.
Wow. So this is this is unbelievable. Wow. Yeah. This is cheaper than you probably thought. Finding an example like this.
Yeah,
It's done 96,000 K. So maybe it's been Ubered, or maybe it's been.
96,000 or 96.
Well, is that only
I do wonder.
96? Maybe it's just, that's bizarre. Who knows? That's a bit weird.
But I don't think you can. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing that it's actually discontinued. So it's very
Okay.
hard. But I can't find much information because I've sent them.
No.
I've tried to send an inquiry before to LDV. I didn't get a response.
Yeah. Okay.
And then on the website, it's still up there as a current car.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
when you go to try to look at the spec sheets and the details of the car, it just says contact us for a quote.
Okay. Well, that might be a bit. That might be spurious. Then it says dealer used, but yeah, maybe that's not genuine. But yeah, like it's still, that's the sort of mark in the competition because again, yeah, it does look. Yeah, Hal said it looks like an X demo. But hard to say. Anyway, interesting to have a look at that, and that's the sort of interiors we start to come to expect now on these as you move into that. Do you think this people mover style again? This is carnival-ish in terms of a bit more low ride, isn't it? Rather than the high rider sort of people mover, right?
It just loses out on boot space. So it's sort of
Okay.
like, and I think that's why everyone loves the Carnival, and
Yeah.
me included. Even though we sold ours
Yeah.
because it was diesel and I wanted to go electric, but
Yeah.
from a space side of things, if you've never seen a Kia Carnival,
Okay.
the back is monstrous.
Yeah.
You could literally,
Okay.
you could just drop
I've had
full-size suitcases in.
I've had a sore point with the Kia Carnival because I didn't know that Roland owned one before I started. I've been talking about it for over an hour now as our benchmark for EVs. It's pretty obvious, and it's obvious to anyone with a family, without a family, that's the spot, right? Hey, but guess what? Because I'm going to throw a new one into the mix here, and again, there was slimish pickings, but we found a few. The Model X, the Mercedes, the EV9. But have a look at the price on this new Denza D9, right? So this is the 2-wheel drive one, and a mate of mine's just bought one, and this is well under 100 for the two-door front wheel drive, and just over 100 grand on the road. You can't see the. I'll try and scroll up. It's just below the. It's below. There it is. There. I've just zoomed in down the bottom there. There's the all-wheel drive model and the price down the bottom. 104 drive away, and the front wheel drive is 94. So these these are really incredible inside. I've got a mate of mine, and I'm going to do a bit of a promo for him at the end, because he just bought one as a hire car and transport vehicle. And that's really, I didn't expect the Denza to be full electric for a start, because those other 4-wheel drives are hybrids. So I didn't even consider this one. I've seen one down at Rushcutters Bay. We've got a Denza showroom not far from us in Sydney, and this is a nice looking unit, and that's pretty funky, and that's not a bad price. Again, what do you move up to? 120, 130? Mercedes, 200 grand. That's pretty good. What do you think?
Mercedes was 170 something from memory when I
Yeah.
recently did the video, and that was with 0 options. And
Yeah.
on my spec sheet comparison, it was the lowest specs. This Denza, I think this will be really good. It's shaking up the market, and it's coming in at like we said earlier on, right? The Volvo and the competitors at that level are all in the $120,000-$130,000 mark. This one now brings a 7-seater towards the 100,000 mark, which is really good to see.
Yeah, and that's getting really. And I haven't got great photos of the interior, but check that out if you're interested, because that again, that's starting to get closer to the mark of 70 or 80 by the time anyone else does anything. And this is full luxury. If they bought back a more family oriented version of this without the luxury interior, perhaps they could do it for 70 or 80 grand. And this is just the start, right? There's going to be a lot more of these to come. Are you keen on this sort of style yourself?
If money were no object, I'd have a Zika 009.
Okay.
I'd go straight to the top.
Zika 009. And what, they're still a bit up there, aren't they?
That is about 150 brand new. So
Still, Zika 009. Come on. There we are. Still about 150. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
So it's 1.5 Denzas.
Yeah. You think, is it about the same size?
It is about the same. So actually, the Denza is the longest 7-seater people mover.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Wow.
yeah, it's honestly huge. I think it's 5.3 or 5.4 meters. It's at least 5.3 from memory. The Denza.
This looks bigger, but it's just I think they've squashed the photo. I think they've squashed the photo.
Yeah.
The back end of it's behind our heads, but it is a decent unit. But this is still 100 odd and 150 odd, right? So.
For the top spec, yes, they've introduced the front-wheel drive variant, which is about 130 thereabouts. Which is good. It's a great addition, because the key differences between that and the top spec, you lose out on pretty much the heated components. Like you don't have heated seats and maybe no heated steering wheel.
Yeah.
And you lose the rear motor, but you save about $25,000.
Okay. So yeah, but that's and how I was saying it. Yeah, Arteco, like Inchcape, who've got LDV, are struggling a bit. I think their LDV is struggling with some of the better competition. The market's compressing very quickly, isn't it? It's moving from, really cheaper options to, luxuries hitting that lower price bracket much more quickly now. And the used EV market's going to chase the used EV market down as well, because you can be able to get more luxury for 60 to 80 grand very, very quickly now.
You look at the Volvo that we just picked up earlier.
Yeah.
That was a year old, and that's about 30,000 less.
Yeah, it's really hard to keep. I mean, most of these European cars, it's if you pay over 100, 120, you're struggling. It's suddenly 100 grand, 90 grand used anyway. There's some big depreciation on some of those European cars. Big Mercedes for 200 grand, you couldn't trade them for 120 a year, 2 years later. But Yeah, I think it's going to be very, very competitive in this space. And have you? What else have Zika got in this people mover range? Have they got anything else above?
Nothing.
Um, what's above the 7X?
7X is the 8X and 9X, which we haven't got here yet, but they're
Okay.
hybrids.
Okay.
They're confirmed to come here. And
Yeah.
then you've got the 009, which is the people mover.
Okay. Yeah, look, I mean, again, we're seeing a plethora of hybrids at the moment. But hey, look, that is fantastic. Thanks for bringing that to us. Really appreciate it. Anything else that you think of that we could add and throw into the mix? What else is there? Model X, of course, the new Model Y, L, right? Have you driven one of those?
So I haven't driven one of them, but everyone says that they're great.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it still doesn't have air suspension. So until I test drive it, I can't say anything concrete. But I guess based on previous experiences, air suspension has, from a comfort side of things, has always outdone everything else.
Yeah.
I think the main thing realistically, like if you're talking about what should people buy if they're thinking about buying like a Model X or a YL, you just have to think, what are you doing on a day-to-day basis and how much you actually care about doors. And what I mean by that is, like, if you've got a tight spot,
Yeah.
I know that I could open, because the Model YL is pretty much the same size as the current as the Model Y in terms
It's
of
a
the
little,
width of the car.
it's 100 mil odd longer, isn't it? Yeah.
A lot longer, but from the width side is exactly the same.
Yeah,
They've maintained the
true.
exact size.
Yeah.
And so where I'm going with this is just saying, if I were to take my Model X or my Y out, I know very well that I could get in a tighter spot and get out of the car in the X as opposed to the Y because of the way the doors open.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, those slide, and I love the sliding doors on the bigger people, on the people movers. Again, and you've got your gull wing doors, but that's the beauty of these people mover styles. That sliding door is fantastic. It makes a hell of a lot of sense. I can still see a lot more of these coming because they're only going to get cheaper and more realistic as they'll drop from luxury spec to more family spec, I think, and we're going to see a lot more of these new and used as well. So there's going to be a whole ton of them. Hey, thanks, Roland. Thanks for joining me. It has been great to go through those because, I had only just started to have a look at some of the family cars as well, and there's just a few of them just coming on now. But, there's going to be a whole heap more. So, hey, thanks for joining us, and hopefully you can come back again sometime, and we'll cover some more. Good. So,
anytime.
Thanks a lot. Good night.
All right, have a good one.
That was Roland from Zap. You can check him out on his own YouTube channel. He's got 3 or 4 times more subscribers, a lot more detailed reviews on some fantastic new cars as well. So, hey, thanks for joining us, guys. It's been a great night, a late night, but had a lot of fun. Thanks, Hal. Thanks, Murray. Thanks, Don. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks for your comments. Hal says the Hong Key's coming as well. There's still a few more brands. They're going to release some new ones and some new model and brand releases, add everything electric as well. So we can expect a whole heap more. Thanks, guys, and we'll catch you next week.